You are done in this town, Yuna.
Talia Monroe knew she was risking her business. She just didn't care. Not when she saw 22-year-old Destiny standing behind the counter fighting back tears, while a wealthy woman in a designer gown tore into her in front of a packed diner. Most people looked away. Talia never did. So she walked over, placed the bill on the table and said quietly, "You're rude. Pay your bill and leave my diner." The room went silent. A fork hit the floor. Someone whispered, "Oh God." Because everyone in that diner recognized the woman. Everyone except Talia. And if Talia had known who she was or who she was about to call, she might have chosen different words. But then again, maybe she wouldn't have. If you've ever had one of those moments where you said the right thing at the worst possible time and felt it in your chest before the words even left your mouth, you already know Talia Monroe. Stay with me. Because where this goes, you won't see coming. Monroe's diner sat on Ponce de Leon, and it had been in Talia's family for 3 generations. Her grandmother built it. Her mother kept it. Talia inherited both the diner and the exhaustion that came with it. 11 years she'd been running this place. 16-hour days, thin margins, a staff of 4 people she'd watched grow up. She was 51, divorced 6 years. Her daughter Camille was in college. This diner was her whole life. Most days, she was grateful for that. Most days. It was raining the afternoon everything changed. Rain always killed business. Kept people in their cars. Kept them away from a small diner with no parking lot and no Yelp reputation worth mentioning. Then the convoy arrived. 3 black SUVs. Heavy. Deliberate. The kind of vehicles that park like they own the curb. A woman stepped out of the middle one. Stunning. Red dress. A bag that probably cost more than Talia's monthly utilities. Korean. Early 30s. And the kind of confidence that doesn't come from earning anything, it comes from never once being told no. Her name was Yuna Hai. Talia didn't know that yet. What she did know before the woman even touched the door handle was the look. That small narrowing of the eyes. That barely there pause on the threshold. The look that says, "This place is beneath me." She walked in anyway. Behind her, 2 assistants. And behind them, quietly, without drama, a man. He took the corner booth. Ordered black coffee in careful, accented English. Sat with his back to the wall. Talia registered him the way you register background music. She would not forget him for the rest of her life. Destiny took Yuna's table. Destiny was 22. 8 months at Monroe's. The kind of young woman who apologized for existing and then spent the rest of the day wishing she hadn't. She reached across to set down the menu. Her elbow caught the tray. The coffee cup tipped. Not onto Yuna. Near her. An inch from the bag. A small brown puddle on the white tablecloth. The sound Yuna made could cut glass. "Are you completely incompetent? Do you know what this bag costs? Do you have any idea who I am?" Destiny's hands were shaking. "I'm so sorry, I didn't..." "Don't apologize, just fix it." Yuna turned to the table beside her, addressed them directly, like Destiny wasn't standing right there. "Is this normal here? Is this what people accept in this city?" Phones came out. People started recording. Talia heard it from the counter. She came around slowly, not rushing. The way you move when the decision is already made and all that's left is to carry it out. She stepped between Destiny and the table, one hand on Destiny's shoulder. Steady. Warm. Then she looked at Yuna directly. "The coffee didn't touch your bag. It touched the tablecloth. We'll replace it. Destiny will bring you a fresh setup and a complimentary dessert." She paused. "And when you're finished, I'd appreciate if you found somewhere else to spend your afternoon. You're rude. You're not welcome back." Yuna stared at her. The diner was so quiet Talia could hear the rain. "Do you know who I am?" Not a question, a warning. "I know you just humiliated a young woman over a wet tablecloth," Talia said. "That's enough for me." Yuna stood up. Her assistants scrambled. The SUV drivers shifted outside. And in the corner booth, the man nobody had been watching went completely still. Not tense. Still. The way a person goes still when they are paying total, absolute attention. Yuna left. Sharp words at the door that Talia absorbed without flinching. The convoy pulled away. The diner exhaled. Destiny cried quietly in the back for 4 minutes, then came out and finished her shift, because she was that kind of young woman. Talia looked toward the corner booth. The man was watching her. Not rudely, not with hunger, just watching. With something in his expression she couldn't name, something that looked almost like recognition. He left a $20 tip on a $4 coffee, walked out into the rain without an umbrella. Talia thought about him for 90 seconds. Then she had too many other things to think about. 4 million views by midnight. Talia found out from Camille. "Mama, you're everywhere. You're trending. They're calling you the diner queen." Talia sat at her kitchen table with cold tea and watched the footage on her daughter's phone. Someone's shaky video. The whole exchange, start to finish. Some comments praised her. Some attacked her. A handful were already digging into who Yuna was, sensing something large beneath the surface the way you sense a current in deep water. Nobody had identified the man in the corner booth, but in the last few seconds of the video, you could just see him. Background, perfectly still. Not recording, not reacting, just watching her. Talia closed the phone and went to bed. She did not sleep well, but that was nothing new. He came back the next evening. No convoy, no assistance. Same corner booth, same black coffee. Didn't check his phone for 2 hours. Talia served him herself. "You were here yesterday," she said. "I was," he said. His English was careful, precise, the kind you learn as an adult, and learn thoroughly. His face, up close, was harder to dismiss than she expected. Not conventionally handsome. More than that. A face that had been through things and hadn't softened. "You didn't say a word," Talia said, while she was going off like that. "You just watched." Something shifted in his eyes. "You didn't need me to." "That's either a compliment or an excuse." "Both," he said. She left him his coffee, told herself she wasn't thinking about him. She was absolutely thinking about him. His name on the credit card read H. Vian. He came back 4 more times that month. Same booth, same coffee, sometimes a meal, never rushed, never uncomfortable. Tips left without ceremony, generous, quiet, like he found the whole ritual of it interesting. He learned her name fast, used it simply. No performance, just Talia, like he decided to keep it. She learned almost nothing about him. Later she would understand that was completely intentional. 3 weeks after the video, the trouble started. Quietly, the way the worst things always do. A health inspection. Routine, they said. But the inspector arrived with a thoroughness that felt personal. Talia passed barely on a grease trap citation that had never come up before. The next week, 3 one-star reviews appeared online. Same hour. Accounts created that day, describing incidents that never happened. Then a local news segment. Slow news day. 3 seconds of Monroe's diner on screen with a chyron underneath. Area businesses under scrutiny. Customers dropped off. Not dramatically, gradually. The way water drains from a bathtub, you don't notice until it's cold. Talia added up the numbers at night. She didn't like the answer. Someone was doing this. She didn't know who yet. Didn't know how high it went. Didn't know that the woman in the cream dress had connections to city officials, media contacts, and enough reach across 3 countries to make a small Atlanta diner disappear like it never existed. But she started paying attention. He noticed the empty tables. Didn't mention it. Came in on a Tuesday, only 2 other customers ordered coffee and sweet potato pie he'd never ordered before. Ate it the way he did everything. Deliberately. Like food was worth respecting. When Talia came to clear, he said, "You seem tired." "I'm always tired. This is a different kind." She looked at him. "Business is slow," she said. "I'm figuring it out." "Is someone helping it be slow?" The question stopped her cold. "Why would you ask that?" "Because that video made a lot of people love you," he said. "But it made at least one person very angry." "Do you know something I don't?" He was quiet 1 beat too long. "I know powerful people have long memories and short patience," he said. and you embarrassed someone who has never been embarrassed before. Are you warning me? I'm telling you to be careful. Why do you care? She meant it, not as a challenge, a real question. She was looking at this man she barely knew and asking him honestly. He looked at his coffee, then at her. Because this is the only place I've been in 2 years, he said quietly, where nobody wanted something from me. Talia didn't answer. She picked up the plate, walked back to the kitchen, stood at the counter with her hands flat on the surface, and breathed. She found out on a Wednesday night, 20 minutes before closing. 4 men walked in. They weren't there to eat. They moved through the door deliberately, coordinated. That specific, unhurried menace that means they've done this before. They were looking for someone. They were looking for the man in the corner booth. What happened in the next 90 seconds, Talia could never fully account for afterward. The man who ordered black coffee and ate sweet potato pie and said quiet, careful things to her was suddenly not that man. He was on his feet before the first one cleared the door. His face didn't become rage. It became something colder than rage. More controlled, the kind of cold that's been lowered deliberately. He spoke 2 sentences in Korean. Low, flat. 3 of the 4 men looked at each other. They left. The 4th was slower to read the room. Talia watched Vian handle that with a brief, decisive efficiency that told her everything she needed to know. He turned and found her standing 10 feet away, holding a coffee pot. His mask came back, slower this time. Talia, who are you? Not a question. The silence that followed changed the room. My name, he said, is Hunro Vian. She knew that name, not well, but she'd heard it. In news clips, business coverage. In the hushed sideways way people reference figures who exist where enormous wealth meets enormous danger. She set the coffee pot down on the nearest table, carefully. How long have you been lying to me? I haven't lied. I've omitted. That's the same thing. It's not, but I understand why it feels that way. Get out, she said. He did. For 3 days she didn't see him. For 3 days she was angrier than she'd been in years, and more aware than she wanted to be of the specific quiet his absence left in that corner booth, which made her angrier. She was 51 years old. She was not going to become attached to a man who turned out to be the kind of man people sent 4 other men to collect. She had worked too hard, survived too much, earned the particular hard-won piece of her own life. She told herself this approximately 8 times a day. Her daughter called. Mama, you seem off. I'm fine. You always say that right before something's wrong. Camille. You're allowed to not be fine, you know? Talia stood at her kitchen window, Atlanta glittering in the distance, cold in her hand where the phone pressed against it. She thought about a man who said the only place he could breathe was her diner. She went to bed. She didn't sleep. On the 4th day, 2 things happened. The diner's business license was flagged for administrative review. A letter in the morning mail, 30 days to respond. Talia's hands shook reading it. She hated that her hands shook. Then Rodney pulled her aside before the lunch rush. Quiet. Careful. There's been a man parked outside. Different car each day. Thought you should know. Protection. Hunro had put protection on her without telling her. She didn't know whether to be furious or undone. She was both. He came back Thursday afternoon. Alone? Same booth? Same coffee? Talia brought it without being asked. Then she sat down across from him. She'd never done that before. He looked at her. Waited. Why my diner? She said. Out of everywhere in this city. I was told it had the best sweet potato pie in Atlanta. Hunro. He was quiet. And then something shifted. That careful composure loosened. Just slightly. The way she'd seen it do once or twice before in small, unguarded moments she hadn't known what to do with. The first time I came, he said, I was following Yuna, checking on her. I followed the report of where she'd stopped. He paused. I watched what you did, and I sat in that booth for 2 hours trying to remember the last time I'd seen someone act without calculating what it would cost them. What way? Talia said. Like integrity was a reflex, he said. Not a decision. The rain was back. Atlanta in November. The woman you were following, Talia said carefully. She's why I'm losing my business. His jaw tightened. Yes. And you've had people outside my diner. Yes. Without telling me. I didn't want you to feel managed. He stopped. Then, I wanted you to feel safe. That's all. I just wanted you to feel safe. Talia sat with that. There are things that undo a woman who has been strong too long. Not grand gestures, not money, not power, small things, specific things. The simple desire of another person for your safety and peace. Stated plainly. Without performance. She wasn't undone, but she felt the shift that comes just before it. The license review, she said. The fake reviews. The inspector. I know about all of it. I don't need you to fix my problems. I know that. But I'm listening, she said. Talk. What he told her over the next hour landed like stones dropping into still water. Yuna Hai wasn't just angry. She was connected. Politically. Corporately. Across 3 countries. And she had been quietly, methodically using every one of those connections to dismantle Monroe's diner piece by piece. But there was something underneath Yuna. Someone using her the same way she was using everyone else. An executive inside Hunro's own organization. A man named Seo Daijung. 3 years of working against Hunro while standing beside him. Creating crises. Manipulating rivals. Positioning himself to inherit everything. And Yuna, furious, reckless Yuna, was just his distraction. There's something else, Hunro said. Something I don't have the full shape of yet. He didn't tell her what it was, not yet. What I am, he said finally, is not simple. I'm not going to tell you it is. I know what you are, Talia said. Then you understand why keeping distance from me is the rational choice. I understand it, she said. She looked at him steadily. I didn't say I'd made it. He stared at her. For the first time since she'd known him, Hunro Vian looked genuinely surprised. This is the moment in a story where everything gets harder before it gets better. If you've ever fought to keep something you built with your own hands, while someone powerful tried to take it from you, you know exactly what Talia is walking into. Stay with her. Because what she does next, nobody sees coming. Subscribe if you haven't. This story isn't finished with you yet. The next 3 weeks were the hardest of her life. Yuna escalated. A fake accusation hit 2 local news stations simultaneously. Employee abuse. Fabricated in detail, supported by bought testimony. Monroe's diner was forced to close. Talia sat alone in her empty diner at 6 in the morning the day after the story broke. Chairs up, lights low. Photographs on the wall, her grandmother, her mother, the opening day, 11 years of mornings. She let herself feel it. All of it. The grief of watching something your grandmother built get dragged through the mud by a woman who'd never worked a day for anything in her life. Destiny called crying from the parking lot when Rodney told her the news. Talia listened, said the right things, held it together on the phone, then hung up and sat in the silence. 30 minutes. She gave herself 30 minutes. Then she opened her laptop. Here is something nobody who knew Talia Monroe in the last decade would have guessed. Before the diner. Before the divorce. Before she came back to Atlanta to help her mother and stayed because staying felt like being who she actually was. Talia had spent 7 years as a digital forensics investigator for a federal contractor. She'd been exceptional. The kind of exceptional that made supervisors nervous. She left after something happened that she never discussed. Buried that part of herself under aprons and pie recipes and the daily grounding work of feeding people. But that capability didn't leave just because she stopped using it. She started pulling threads. The fake reviews traced to accounts with overlapping IP infrastructure. Tied to a PR firm with undisclosed connections to the HIE family's media company. The inspector cross-referenced with public records. 3 prior targeted inspections. All businesses previously in conflict with high-connected entities. The news story the named source had received a $4,200 deposit 2 days before her interview. Each thread led somewhere. And then buried under 3 layers of shell corporations, she found it. The thing that was too big for Yuna to be running alone. SEO, Daejung. Not just a traitor inside Hunro's organization. The architect of everything. He'd been manipulating Yuna, manipulating rivals, orchestrating crises for years, and he hadn't been watching Monroe's diner because of Talia. He'd been watching it because of Hunro. Talia picked up her phone. 11 at night. "I found something," she said. "Come alone." He was at her door in 20 minutes. She talked for 45 minutes straight. Showed him everything. Every thread, every connection. Every shell corporation pointing back to the same name. She watched his face move through something she'd never seen on it before. Genuine fear. Not for himself. "He knows you know me," Hunro said. "He's been watching you come here for months," Talia said. "I'm not just collateral anymore. I'm a pressure point." The kitchen was quiet. "Then we move first," Hunro said. "Together," Talia said. He looked at her. "I didn't dig all of this out so you could disappear and handle it without me," she said. "I found it. I know where everything is. We do this together, or I go to the FBI directly and you can read about it in the morning." Something moved across his face. It took her a moment to name it. Respect. The specific kind that only appears when you've stopped expecting something and someone delivers it anyway. "Together," he said. What they built over the next 2 weeks was methodical and clean. Talia's documentation of Seo Daejung's operation offshore accounts, coordinated media contacts, metadata traced back to his own devices was enough. A contact of Hunro's placed the package in the right hands quietly. Yuna's exposure came separately. Almost naturally. The PR firm that created the fake reviews had billed those services to a subsidiary with Yuna's name attached. A reporter who'd been investigating the Hai family for 2 years received a very well-documented tip. And the thing unraveled. The way things always unravel when they were always fragile. Friends stopped calling. Sponsors disappeared. Political allies found reasons to be elsewhere. The humiliation she had tried to inflict on a woman in an Atlanta diner returned to her threefold. Not through revenge. Through truth. Seo Daejung was arrested on a Tuesday morning. The story ran everywhere. If you're still here, you already know this channel isn't just about the story. It's about the feeling. The feeling that justice is still possible. That strength gets rewarded. That the right people find each other eventually. If that feeling brought you here tonight, don't leave quietly. Subscribe. Drop a comment. Tell me which moment hit you hardest. You being here matters more than you know. The diner reopened on a Friday. Talia stood outside alone before unlocking the door. Just a moment. Just her and the sign her grandmother had hung refurbished now. Same design, same font, same place. Monroe's. She unlocked the door. By noon, the line was out into the street. People who'd believed the story and felt bad about it. People who'd never believed it and stayed away in protest. People who'd seen the news about Seo Daejung and Yuna and put it together. People who just wanted sweet potato pie and heard it was the best in Atlanta. At 2:15 p.m., the corner booth was occupied. Hunro, back to the wall. Black coffee, no convoy, no assistance. Just a man who had decided some time ago that this was where he wanted to be. Talia brought the coffee herself, stood at the table, looking at him. "Most of my regulars," she said, "don't require federal investigations to keep their table." Something crossed his face, the version of laughter he kept behind glass. "I'm a unique case." "You really are." She set down the mug. "Destiny asked me this morning if you were coming back." "What did you tell her?" Talia looked around her diner, full, loud, alive. Destiny moving between tables like someone who'd been scared and come through it and was still standing. The photographs on the wall. The regulars in their seats. 11 years of mornings rebuilt in a single afternoon. Then she looked at him. "I told her booth 7 is taken." He looked at her. That stillness of his, which she understood now, wasn't coldness, but discipline. The particular restraint of a man the world had never been gentle with was different when it landed on her. Slightly unlocked, like something he'd decided to allow. "Talia," he said. "Not yet," she said quietly. "Let's just eat pie. Figure out the rest after. Okay, he said, went to get the pie. And Hunro Vian, the man 3 continents worth of dangerous people had spent years being afraid of, sat in a corner booth in Atlanta and felt something he had no armor for. Grateful. Months later, Talia would try to explain it to Camille. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the power. It wasn't even the protection. It was simpler than all of that. He saw her. Not the brave woman from the video. Not the diner owner. Not a soft place to land after a hard world. Her, the tired woman who woke at 5 a.m. and worried about her margins and missed her daughter and carried years of grief she'd never fully put down. The woman who had been strong for so long she'd almost forgotten softness was even available to her. He looked at all of that and stayed. On a Tuesday morning in the new year, Talia found a thermos on the counter before her shift. Her specific tea. The kind she'd mentioned only once that she actually wanted on cold mornings, but never bothered to make because the diner was always too busy. Correct kind. Made correctly. Rodney shrugged when she asked. Booth 7. Talia stood holding the thermos. Then she smiled. The real kind. The kind that comes from somewhere deep and unhurried. The kind that surprises you because you'd almost stopped expecting it. She tied her apron and opened the diner. Booth 7 was already occupied. Black coffee back to the wall. That still careful face that had learned slowly, deliberately, to be slightly less still when she was near. She brought the coffee pot. You made my tea, she said. You mentioned it once, he said. 6 months ago. I have a good memory. She looked at him. He looked at her. Outside, Atlanta was cold and gray and moving fast and completely unbothered by what was being built slowly and honestly in the corner booth of Monroe's diner on Ponce de Leon. Thank you, she said. He nodded, said nothing. Picked up his coffee, and Talia Monroe, who had stood alone in the hard middle of her life and built something worth protecting and then protected, it went back to work. While the man who feared nothing in this world sat in his corner booth and feared only one thing: losing her. If you stayed until the very end, then you already know this channel was made for you, for the ones who needed to feel it all the way through. Drop a comment and tell me which moment stayed with you longest, and if these stories have become part of your quiet time, part of how you remind yourself that love can still be real and worth everything, then you're already home here. We'll see you in the next one.